What's poppin', guys? I'm Tucci's, the executive, and this year we decided to contribute to reducing inequalities by filming a documentary, interviewing teachers about their upcomings, and becoming a teacher to inspire Hispanic students to pursue a career in education. Enjoy.
Okay, so my name is Miss Palomino. This is my 5th year teaching here at Taylorsville High School. I am a teacher in our social studies department, and I teach specifically U.S. history, world history, and an elective sociology. So I'm originally from New York. My dad is from Colombia. My mom is from Ecuador. They both came when they both came to the United States when they were teenagers. I think my dad was 13 and my mom was about 16. And so they met in New York, and that's where they started our family. So I was born in Brooklyn. But we moved to Utah, out to Saratoga Springs in 2001, where there was nothing in Saratoga Springs. I mean, there's still not a whole lot out there, though.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, okay, so I graduated from high school. I graduated from Westlake High School in Saratoga Springs in 2010. And I went into UVU as a freshman that very first semester. However, I did not want to go to school because I did not enjoy school when I was in high school. It was not fun for me. I wasn't really involved in anything, and I was I didn't know what I wanted to major in. Back in New York, they had these take your daughter to work day things. And so my mom used to take me to her office when she was little, and I was like, yeah, I'll just do what my mom does. So when I needed to decide on a major, I was like, I'll just major in social work, I guess. That makes sense. And then I failed my intro to social work class, and I remember my parents sat me down and they were like, hey, sweetie, maybe we don't major in the class where we failed the intro class. And I was like, you're right, that's true. Going to school full time was a lot, because like I said, I hadn't been a good student in high school and I was not ready for college. So instead of just stopping, right, my parents were like, why don't you just go to school part-time? So instead of taking 4 classes, take 2. I would take one class that was a general ed class, and then I would take a class that I thought was interesting and fun. And what I noticed was, because I was also my GPA was suffering because of the 2 classes I failed. So I realized that I was taking history classes for fun, because history classes were super easy because I loved history and I was just trying to get my GPA up. So I also took an 18-month break from my studies for religious reasons, and I served an LDS mission. And when I was on my LDS mission, when my people were talking about hey, what are we majoring in? Because most of the people I was out there with, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish in a year or 2, and I was like, dude, I don't even know when I'm gonna finish. I don't know what my major is. And I remember I was talking to someone, and they're like, what do you like? I was like, I love history. History's awesome. They're like, why aren't you a history teacher? I was like, because high school sucks. Why would I want to be a teacher? And they're like, but that would be you can reach out to those kids that didn't like school, or you can be the class that kids want to go to. You can make history fun. And I was like, oh shoot, you're right. And so I came home and I was like, Mom, Dad, I figured out what I want to major in. I want to teach history. And they were like, wait, what? Amazingly, it's funny how once I decided what I wanted to do, I kicked butt. And I'm not trying to brag, but I got a 4.0 for 3 years in a row after that, every semester, because I was I actually really liked what I was supposed to do. And for the short answer, I graduated high school in 2010, and I didn't graduate from college until 2017. So a little bit of part-time, a little bit of religious breaks, and a little bit of figuring it out, but we figured it out. And like I said, 5 years later, now I'm a teacher, and I will be finishing my master's degree in May. So.
Well, my name is Paola Escobedo, and I'm one of the social workers here. I this is my first year working out of school. Prior to this, I just focused on therapy and did some residential work, but I always wanted to do school social work since I was 16 years old. I will be teaching coping skills, anything related to how mental health works. So topics on depression, anxiety, even how to cope with suicidal ideation. So some heavy topics that a lot of people don't like to talk about. I think I'm gonna jump into that soon. I went to school at the University of Utah and got a master's degree in social work, in clinical social work, and I have also experience in just working in special ed. so IEP, 504s, but lots of schooling. Graduated in 2009, forever ago, from high school. And then I went to, I did 2 years of community college, and then I moved to Utah. So like 6 years almost to get my master's. It's a long time. Well, I think a big challenge was I was the first one in my family to go to college, so I didn't know how to do anything, like filling up FAFSA or filling out just like registering and stuff like that. I had to ask a lot of questions to my friends, to teachers, and I always felt like I had no idea what I was doing, but it felt good to be one of the first ones, or the first one in my family to get a master's. So.
My name is Ryan Wells. The students call me Senor Wells. I've been here at Taylorsville for about 10 years. I teach Spanish. At the moment, I'm teaching all 6 classes are AP classes.
Becoming a teacher isn't easy, right? So I was wondering if you could just tell us how long it really took, you know?
Sure. So it depends on what you study and what you want to teach, right? So you have to get an undergraduate degree in order to become a teacher. So you have several different routes to do that. You can study education, but then also do a specialization in Spanish or psychology or science, whatever it is you want to teach. Or you can specialize in that thing and then get more education later. So I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to be a teacher at first. So I did a degree in Spanish that didn't license me to be a teacher. So after that, when I did my master's degree, that's when I decided to get my, what they call an education licensure, which was the ability to be able to teach in a secondary school. So it took me about 6 years, 4 years for my undergraduate and 2 years for my master's. But depending on how many college credits students have when they graduate high school, college might only be a 3 or 4 year process.
Now, coming up, there's a lot of challenges you face, right? So could you just tell us a few that you came across and how you overcame them?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things is the work-life balance, right? When I was in college, I worked at Wells Fargo Bank, and a lot of my coworkers would say, oh wow, I'm making decent money working here as a teller or as a banker. And there's something that I always call the Wells Fargo trap, right? It's where all of a sudden work sounded a little bit better than school because you see the money come in and you think, okay, I'm gonna work for a year, I'm gonna work for 2 years. But what I mean by trap is that people end up working forever and they don't get out of what I call the Wells Fargo trap. So I think when we talk about challenges, the work-life balance is huge. I think college is expensive. There's no getting around that. Hopefully people have scholarships and financial aid to help with that. But if not, it is expensive. But to find a job where you can work 20 to 30 hours a week, but then also do school part-time or full-time, my entire time in college, I did full-time college and part-time work. And that allowed me to pay for my tuition, pay for my living expenses, pay for my life without going too far into debt. I think one of the biggest challenges of getting an education today is the amount of money that it costs. I think besides life, which comes with all kinds of different challenges, the work-life balance is a huge thing that is hard to figure out, but once you do, without going too far into debt, because you really don't want to take out a ton of loans if you can prevent that, because then you graduate with an art degree or a Spanish degree or a business degree with $20,000, $30,000 in debt. That's really debilitating.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day for letting me record you. Just one last question just to end it all off. If you could give your younger self a little bit of advice, what would it be? If you could give yourself, your younger self advice, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a really deep one. I would say
pick something that you absolutely love to do and dedicate your life to that thing.
2 things. 1, I would talk to myself as a sophomore. I would sit down, sophomore Palomino, and I would say, dude, this is terrible advice, but even if you hate a class, just do enough work to just pass. I don't care if it's a D, I don't care if it's a C, just pass it. You wanna know why? Because you gotta do future you a favor. And I'm not saying like almost 30-year-old you, I'm saying like senior year you, so that you're not failing classes.
Don't be so hard on yourself and enjoy the ride. That's what I would say.
Too many people think about money and they don't think enough about what's going to make them happy and bring them happiness in life.
Oh man, I would have saved myself a world of hurt if I had just done the bare minimum, right? 2, I'm really grateful that my parents made me like never stop. Because even though like I didn't know what I wanted to do, they were like, cool, don't stop going to school though, just do a little bit. Like take fun classes that are still gonna work maybe for a degree someday. So I was like, all right, let me at least finish generals kind of thing.
And I think no matter what it is that you're interested in, there is a line of work, there is a profession associated with that. In today's world with Instagram and social media, you can really promote yourself, YouTube, all kinds of different ways. So whatever it is, whether it's fashion, whether it's style, whether it's maybe you really love cars.
For me, for being a teacher, it was like, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that I needed, like one of the things I learned the most about myself is that when I put my mind into something, I can do hard things.
So honestly, if I were to be able to give my younger self one piece of advice, and it's something that I feel like I have honored and valued in my life, is to just really be true to yourself and follow your passion.
And I think most people are capable of doing hard things if they put their mind to it. And I just think you need to find the thing that motivates you and just go after it.
Whatever it is that you're interested in, become an expert at that thing and develop it into something more than a passion, but a job or a career or a life of whatever that might be for you. So good luck. Buena suerte.